Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now the news in full. Former President Muhammadu Buhari had been buried in the compound premises of his private residence in Daura, Katsina State. He was buried at about 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday under the shades of trees, where he usually sat to unwind and interact with friends and associates, in a solemn ceremony that drew dignitaries from across the nation and beyond. The burial, conducted according to Islamic rites, marked the culmination of a period of profound national mourning for a leader who served Nigeria both as a military head of state and a democratically elected president. Over now to Kike Lomo Okere for more details.
Immediately after the burial, security operatives fired 21 gun salutes at the entrance of his private residence. Three shots were fired at exactly 5:33 p.m. Another three shot 2 minutes later, until the entire shots were completed. The security operatives, dressed in green and red attire, had earlier held a brief parade in honor of the late president. The former president's body arrived at the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua International Airport, Katsina, aboard Nigeria Air Force Flight 5N FGT 00 p.m. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, alongside Katsina State Governor Dr. Dikko Rada, his deputy Farouk Lawal, among others prominent personalities, received the body at the airport. Buhari's remains were accompanied from the United Kingdom by Vice President Kashim Shettima and other prominent leaders of the country. Upon arrival in Daura, about an hour drive from Katsina, his body was briefly laid in state for friends and family members and other relevant persons to say their final goodbyes. A prominent Imam, Ustaz Azan Yusuf, led other prominent personality in the funeral prayer that marked part of the burial rites. The funeral prayer, which also lasted a few minutes, was completed at exactly 4:56 p.m. at the helipad site, where helicopters that ferry him where he comes to town touched down. Before the burial, hundreds of residents held funeral prayers for the late president, with some of them shedding tears while supplicating for repose of his soul. Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
Nigerians has described former President Muhammadu Buhari as a leader whose life was defined by service, discipline, and a commitment to restore integrity to public office. Some Nigerians who spoke to our correspondent Obongo Soro praised him for his fight against corruption, his simplicity and love for the country. The report.
Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari died in London after a long illness. He served as president from 2015 to 2023, and earlier as a military head of state from 1983 to 1985. In an interview, Nigerians reacted to the passing of the immediate past president Muhammadu Buhari, saying the entire country has been thrown into a state of mourning, adding that being a two-time president is one of Buhari's greatest legacies.
Seriously, when I heard the news, I was so sad. I'm not really happy. He's our leader, he's our former president, he's our military head of state. That time, there's a policy that he brought that we all enjoy, and there's some policy he brought that we all sad.
It's a very sad one for all of us Nigerians. Many people may have their own side of the story about Muhammadu Buhari, but for me, he's a very good man.
They also described Buhari as a very good man who will be missed while highlighting the N-Power scheme as one of his major achievements.
We know him with his disciplinary record, war against indiscipline that he introduced to Nigeria, which reshaped the minds of Nigerians.
I really want to say I'm sorry for the great loss to the Buhari's family, because nobody is perfect. In every government, there's always the good and the bad.
Death is actually so inevitable, and he is quite old. He has done his bit, he has tried his best for Nigeria, and I just send my deepest condolences to the family and to Nigerians. I pray that his soul rest in peace.
As Nigerians reflect on the life and leadership of Muhammadu Buhari, many agree that his legacy, whether praised or criticized, has left a lasting mark on the nation's history. Ubong Osoro for Global TV.
Former President Muhammadu Buhari has reverberated in Nigeria and across the world, with tributes pouring in from leaders home and abroad. From President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to past and serving political leaders across various landmark moments in the life of the former Nigerian leader has continued to be highlighted. Beyond Nigerian government around the world, including China, have also condoled with the Buhari family. The Nigerian and the people of Nigeria, our special feature on the former president, brings you highlights of his life and time in office. Uyi Agbomofuegbe has the rest of the details.
For a man who began his career as a soldier, becoming a military and a democratically elected president are both considered monumental feats.
The Supreme Military Council met yesterday and after an exhaustive deliberation approved your appointments as military governors for the 19 states of the Federation.
That was Muhammadu Buhari about 4 decades ago as a military head of state, inaugurating military governors following the 1983 coup. He later would spend 2 years leading what a section of Nigerians today refer to as the war against indiscipline under military government. Buhari was born on December 17, 1942 in Daura, Katsina State. He joined the Nigerian Army in 1961 and rose through the ranks, eventually leading the country as a military head of state from 1983 to 1985, a period during which he launched a nationwide anti-corruption and discipline campaign, earning him a reputation for tough leadership. Following decades in public service and several attempts at the presidency, Buhari made history in 2015 when he was elected a civilian president under the All Progressives Congress (APC), becoming the first opposition candidate to defeat an incumbent in Nigeria's political history. He was re-elected in 2019 and served 2 terms, focusing on fighting corruption, improving infrastructure, and tackling insecurity across the country. President Buhari's time in office saw the expansion of rail projects, social investment programs, and public sector reforms, including the Treasury Single Account (TSA). 2015, early success against Boko Haram. Buhari is elected president of Nigeria in 2015 on a pledge to defeat Boko Haram jihadists. 2 months after he was sworn in, he sacked the military top brass inherited from his predecessor, Goodluck Jonathan, and galvanized regional support against the jihadists. 2019 disputed election. In February of that year, Buhari was re-elected with 56% of the votes. The opposition cried foul. His main rival, Atiku Abubakar, challenged the results, which were validated in court in September. Buhari unveiled his new government in August of same year. 2020 coronavirus protest. In March, the capital Abuja and economic hub Lagos were locked down as part of measures to fight the coronavirus pandemic. The lockdown was eased in May, while a curfew remained in place.
So that there has been some form of injustice on him. We are all humans. There is no doubt I hurt some people and I wish they would pardon me. And those that think that I've hurt them so much, please pardon me.
As the Daura-born retired general and former civilian president exits this world, Nigerians will continue to assess his impact on the basis of the legacy he now leaves behind. Uyi Agbomofuegbe for Global TV News.
The federal government has reaffirmed its strong commitment to resolving the visa dispute with the United States and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, through diplomatic engagement. This is contained in a statement issued in Abuja by presidential spokesperson Bayo Ononuga. Says the reassurance followed recent adjustments in visa issuance policies affecting Nigerian citizens by both countries. Ononuga noted that relevant government agencies are actively engaging with their counterparts to address the concerns through appropriate channels. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed all federal government agencies to ensure all full compliance with Nigeria's international obligations and to strengthen intergovernmental cooperation in authenticating the identities of individuals seeking consular services abroad. The directives came through the presidential spokesman in the wake of recent visa policies introduced by the United States and the government of the United Arab Emirates, UAE. The new visa policy introduced by the American government had generated tension between Nigeria and the United States. Governor Francis Uwefuru of Ebonyi State has implemented a minor cabinet reshuffle, which the governor said is aimed at boosting government efficiency and aligning his administration with the goals of the People's Charter of the Needs Manifesto. The changes were announced during State Executive Council meeting held at the Government House, Abakaliki. The government urged council members to reflect on their performance and recommit to the administration's development agenda. Moving on now to the National Assembly has clarified that the recent judgment of the Federal High Court does not mandate the Senate to reinstate Senator Natasha Akpoti, contrary to demands made by her legal team. In a letter and signed by Charles Yola, Director of Litigation and Counseling at the National Assembly Legal Service Directorate, it stated that the court ruling offered no direct order compelling the Senate or its leadership to take action regarding Akpoti Uduaghan's suspension. The response was addressed to Michael Jonathan Numa San of MJ Newman and Partners in reply to his July 11th letter to the clerk to the National Assembly. Retired police officers in Nigeria have intensified calls for improved pension benefits as the National Assembly continues to delay the approval of 758 billion naira in outstanding pension liabilities. This demand was made in a statement by National Association of Retired Police Officers of Nigeria, National President Paul Ochonu. The police retirees urged the federal government to urgently address the grievances of the retirees under the Contributory Pension Scheme CPS in order to avert a planned protest by the serving police officers. In a major anti-crime operation tagged Operation Sweep Abuja Clean, the Federal Capital Territory Administration FCTA impounded more than 280 vehicles, tricycles and motorcycles targeting black spots and unauthorized transport operators across the city. The Federal Capital Territory Security Director Adam Ikwari said the clampdown followed directives from Minister Nyesom Wike and resulted in the arrest of beggars, scavengers and illegal operators with impounded items including 40 vehicles, over 200 motorcycles and more than 40 tricycles. Some arrested destitute persons are being processed at the Buhari Rehabilitation Center for vocational training or repatriation. Organized labor under the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) in Ogun State has commenced an indefinite strike over the government's failure to remit pension deductions, implement the national minimum wage, and address other unresolved issues. The action was confirmed in a statement by the Ogun State chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), Demola Hamid Benko, following a resolution reached at the statewide Congress of Civil Service Workers in Abeokuta. The statement directed all civil and public servants to withdraw their services immediately, citing the government's alleged non-compliance with the contributory pension scheme established under the Ogun State Pension Reform Law of 2008, amended in 2013. The Southwest Caucus of the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, says its members may embark on strike if the unfavorable allowances introduced for doctors by the federal government are not withdrawn. The caucus, which comprises Osun, Oyo, Ekiti, Ogun, and Ondo State, stated this at a news conference in Osogbo by the caucus chairman, Dr. Adeshina Fasanu, says the recent circular issued by the National Salary, Income and Wages Commission concerning doctors' increased allowances is not in tandem with economic reality. Fasonu, who is also the Osun State chairman of the association, said the national leadership of NMA had given the federal government 21-day ultimatum to withdraw the circular. Troops of 6th Division Nigerian Army have dismantled multiple illegal refinery sites and arrested 50 suspected oil thieves in Rivers, Delta, Bayelsa, and Akwa Ibom State between June 30th and July 13th, 2025. Operations led by the Tactical River Rhine Squad uncovered over 25,000 liters of stolen crude and petroleum products, with key seizures made around the Imo River axis or creek forests and Warri waterways, including speedboats and chemical-laced reservoirs. The Army destroyed numerous bunkering facilities and illegal refining tools as the Acting Deputy Director of Army Public Relations, Lieutenant Colonel Danjuma Jonah, reaffirmed ongoing efforts to deny criminal freedom to operate in the region. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has confirmed the successful screening of Awali Isa Manzo as its candidate for the Garki Babura House of Representatives by-election in Jigawa State. Speaking after the screening, Secretary of the Screening Committee, PDP National Headquarters, Abuja, Precious Ben, said the party has successfully screened its candidate for the coming by-election of Garki Babura constituency. Independent National Electoral Commission had earlier announced 16th August 2025 as date for the Garki Babura Federal Constituency election following the death of Isa Dagon Yoro, who died on May 10, 2024 at the age of 46. Moving on now to the Youth Party has strongly condemned the conduct of the Lagos State local government elections held on Saturday, July 12, 2025, describing the process as shambolic and blatantly rigged in favor of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC. This condemnation follows a similar rejection by the Labour Party, which labelled the exercise a dangerous blueprint for electoral fraud ahead of 2027 general elections. Meanwhile, the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission declared APC candidate as winners of all 57 chairmanship positions contested. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Lagos State has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to launch an investigation into the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission over allegations of electoral fraud and manipulation during the July 12, 2025 local government council elections. The chairman of the PDP Chairman Forum in the state, Adegboyega Adegbeson, said the election was a sham, with All Progressive Congress APC thugs invading polling units, snatching ballot boxes and assaulting voters, while Lagos Electoral Commission officials turned a blind eye or actively aided the attackers. The party also urged judiciary, civil society organizations, CSOs, international observers and democracy watchdogs to speak out against the tyranny and electoral malpractices witnessed during the election. You are watching the live broadcast of AM News. When AM News returns, Lamani Yamal faces probe over 18th birthday party. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories at the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is AM News on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, says he has submitted paperwork to develop Nigeria's biggest and deepest seaport in Alokolo, Ogun State, as part of his ongoing expansion into maritime logistics. The proposed port, located 100 kilometers from his Lekki refinery and fertilizer complex, is expected to ease export of fertilizer, liquefied natural gas, and petrochemicals, while handling imported raw materials and equipment. The port, if approved, will revive the Lekki Deep Sea Port and marks Dangote's return to the Olukola site after shelving earlier plans due to conflict with local authorities that have now been resolved. The House of Representatives says the enactment of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA 2021, has yielded remarkable results, with more than $16 billion investment commitments and significant improvement in oil production. The Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, stated this in Abuja at the 2025 General Council and Legal Advisors Forum for Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Companies in Nigeria. The forum, organized by the Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, has its theme as Advancing a Collaborative Compliance Culture in Nigeria's midstream and downstream petroleum sectors. The Bauchi State Government, in partnership with relevant organizations in climate-related areas, have formulated a climate policy aimed at combating the threat to food security in the state. Commissioner for Housing and Environment, Dan Lamin Kowali, stated that the state is witnessing serious desertification and erratic rainfall patterns, which are reducing crop yields and threatening the livelihoods of the farmers. Kowali stated that Bauchi State climate change policy serves as a strategic roadmap to mitigate these impacts, build agricultural resilience, and ensure long-term food security. The Nigerian Naira closed at 1,518 per US dollar on Monday, marking its strongest level since March 14, 2025, and extending a recent wave of currency recovery. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria indicated a 0.74% daily gain, suggesting improving market sentiment and microeconomic conditions. The rebound comes after months of depreciation and signals renewed confidence in the government's fiscal and monetary reforms. On our foreign scene now, the atmosphere was calm and disciplined in Lome as Togo's security and defense forces, including paramilitary units and members of the Operational Reserve, cast their ballots in early voting ahead of the municipal election. This special vote was organized to allow them to fulfill their civic duty while remaining available to ensure the security of the general election scheduled for July 17th. At the polling station, the voting process went smoothly in a strictly orderly environment. Thus, early vote marks the official kickoff of highly anticipated municipal election, watched closely by both the political class and public, caught between hope and caution. Now, on the ground of the campaign is a full swing. Political parties and independent candidates are marking rounds to win over voters. Supporters of the ruling party, UNIR, are focused on consolidating progress. Al-Shabaab fighters have taken control of Tardo in Somalia's Hirain region, displacing over 12,000 families and driving out clan fighters. Allied with the government's Somali members of parliament, Dahir Amin, reportedly confirmed that local forces are regrouping with 100 soldiers deployed by the controversial offensive as the group pushes further into central Somalia. The offensive escalates a long-running insurgency aimed at toppling the Somalia government and imposing Sharia law. Daniel Martindale, a U.S. citizen who allegedly spied on Ukraine for Russia, has been granted Russian citizenship by decree of President Vladimir Putin, according to Moscow-installed authorities in Donetsk. Reports claim Martindale spent 2 years behind enemy lines, passing military coordinates to Russia's secret service before being evacuated in secret operation. At a Moscow ceremony, Martindale called receiving his Russian passport a dream come true, expressing deep loyalty to Russia. Over now to sports stories. Now, Manchester City have signed a blockbuster new kit deal with Puma worth a reported €1 billion over the next 10 years. City's extension of their contract with Puma ranks at the largest kit manufacturing partnership in Premier League history. Having agreed a €65 million per year deal with a German company in 2019, City's new arrangement is believed to be worth €100 million per year until 2035. Fangjun Sang, the world's oldest known marathon runner, has died at 114 after being hit by a vehicle in his village in Punjab, India. His biographer confirmed. Sai became the global icon after taking up a distance running at age 89, completing marathons well into his 100s and inspiring many with his vitality and discipline. He carried the Olympic torch in 2004 and 2012 and was featured in ads alongside sports icons like Beckham and Muhammad Ali. Still on sports story, now Barcelona winger Lamine Yamal is under investigation by Spain's Ministry of Social Rights following complaints about the use of people with dwarfism as entertainers at his recent 18th birthday party. Adult Casey Group ADEE alleges that act perpetuated stereotypes and violated disability rights, prompting a formal complaint and possible legal action. One performer involved defended their work on Catalan radio, stating it was voluntary and dignified, while Yamal's representatives have not commented. And that's it on Global TV AM News. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Up next is Global Morning. Stay tuned.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Nigeria Week London 2025. It's time to celebrate the pulse of Africa's most exciting nation. It's coming to Hippodrome Theatre from July 24th to 26, 2025, showcasing the best in Nigerian arts, music, fashion, and investment opportunities. Whether you're looking to discover the future of real estate, explore Nigeria's culinary masterpieces, or get immersed in an electric Afrobeat performance, this is the event of the year. You can also join us for a film festival, cultural dance spectacles, and the recognition awards. Don't miss out on the business opportunities and cultural experiences waiting for you. Book your tickets now before they're gone on eventbrite.co.uk. Call or text +447 438 893 190 or 080 330 46768 or +447 459 071 747. Visit our website superiorradioandtelevision.com. Nigeria Week London 2025, celebrating the best of Nigeria, is partnered with Civil Society, scaling up nutrition in Nigeria.
In partnership with Global Television.
Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. This is Global Television, and we are always pleased to welcome you to Global Morning. Of course, the live broadcasts, breakfast show here on Global Television. I am Uji Agmofugwe, and my amazing colleague, who again this morning is bringing the dazzle on the show.
I'm smiling. Okay, I'm actually blushing from cheek to cheek. Good morning to each and every
I think you've earned it.
I have.
Right.
Oh, wow. Good morning to each and every one of you out there. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. And if it's on radio, we'll say it's a Women Crush Wednesday.
Right.
And, of course, Nigeria is still in mourning because of the death of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. But at the same time, good morning. Let's try as much as possible to make this morning a great one. And good morning to you, Uyi. And it's always great to have you side by side to anchor this breakfast program.
Yeah, I share that pleasure myself. And again, as always, we're grateful to our viewers who also make that decision to be with us here every other morning, 7 days a week. We do not take that for granted. We say thank you once again. Maybe the best place to be from at this point is yesterday. So much actually had happened regarding the life and times of late former President Muhammadu Buhari, who eventually got interred yesterday. Of course, we have walked you down the line the last 3 days, and today being the fourth of how that he had passed in London Hospital on Sunday. And by yesterday, he got interred in his hometown of Daura in Katsina State. We saw the who is who, as they say in French, the creme de la creme in Daura, led by no other person than the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, who also paid his respects to his predecessor, his friend, political ally, and today, as I say, the rest is history.
The rest is history.
But one thing that will continue to form an essential part of that history is the legacy that the man, the former now late president, now leaves behind. We have spent the last 3 days, today being the fourth day, taking a look at his life, the prints, as they say, that he left in the sands of time, and how those, if you like, strings of impacts have reshaped Nigeria's leadership.
Yes, it has.
Whether it's in the military or in politics, because as they said, the man had been there, done that. He had seen both sides of the coin.
Yes, he has.
From khaki, as we would put it in our local parlance, all right, to Agbada, which means that he had led Nigeria as a military head of state and then became a democratically elected president in 2015, going on to spend 8 years, all right, leading this country between 2015 and 2023. So Juma and I will do an amazing work this morning together by ensuring that we'll bring you all of those highlights.
Of course, you will. Well said. And you know, at about this one, today's the 3-day prayer.
Right.
You know, making it the three days that he has passed. I know it's the 4th day, but today
which is basically an important part of the Islamic rites.
Very important part of the Islamic rites today. So I'm sure a lot of people will still gather to, you know, pray for God to have mercy on his soul and all of that. But at the same time, you just said it all, that the late President Muhammad Buhari was someone that of integrity and discipline, and of course he tried as much as possible to curb, if not eradicate, corruption in Nigeria. We saw that part play a very important role. And of course, comparing his administration to this present administration, there's a wide difference when it comes to although there wasn't any removal of fuel subsidy at that point, but at least we never bought fuel at the rate in which we're buying now, or the amount we bought then. But like I said, everyone has their own style of leadership.
That's right.
Everyone has a different story to it. Some will tell you it's not their own experience during his administration wasn't palatable, but some would tell you they had an amazing time during his own time of ruling and all of that. But at the same time, we should try and understand deeply that you cannot please everyone, so you must have various says at the same point. And like you mentioned, we'll be taking them through the times and of course the journey of the late President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yeah, that's right. We would bring you quite a number of highlights today, or play a special report that essentially has put together some of the, if you like, astounding moments, all right, while the man walked this earth as a citizen, as a son, as a father, a husband, a grandfather, and of course a military general, and then ultimately becoming a democratically elected president. And some persons have been asking, what essentially did he spend the last 2 years beyond the 2023 May 29 when he left office doing? I think he became more of an elder statesman.
Yes,
yeah, like one of our guests said here yesterday, Madam Nasiru, he became more like wanting to be neutral about politics. It became more of, for him, looking at leadership from a dispassionate standpoint, as against being partisan or being politically subjective. Even though, of course, he never resigned his membership of the APC, but he was now more focused on governance as against whether to win elections or to campaign and things like that, exactly allowing the government of President Bola Tinubu to do its thing, and things like that. And there are those who say it should be commended, because they say some former presidents would have been interfering, would have been interjecting, and trying to jump into the conversations around the economy, state of affairs of the nation, and things like that. You know, at the point he had said, while he was still in office, I think it was in the course of his second term, that he just couldn't wait to get done with the presidency thing and go back to Dara and continue his business.
You know, I think the feel about being in power and coming out of power is that, okay, you've seen it all, you've done it all, so what next? So you need that particular time and space to just sit back and watch others do their thing. It's going to be totally different from your own ideologies and all of that. I think that was what he did. He just wanted to spend time with family, be around the people of Daura, and just sit around his children or his grandkids, because hey, that was the highest that he wanted, to become president, and he became president. Like I said, there's something to take back from the late President Muhammadu Buhari's death. Be persistent, believe, strive in what you believe in. So at a tone of that, he's done it all, he's seen it all, so let him just sit back, no interference, just enjoy life without any disturbance of what is happening here, away from the spotlight. Of course, he wasn't flattered when you see cartoons and all of that that came out, you know, indirectly, you know, you can imagine the insults that came with it. It wasn't so palatable, we all know. But at the same time, maybe he wanted that I don't want to be in the spotlight. I just want to sit back, enjoy family,
Right.
enjoy my space,
Private
enjoy
life.
my private life. I just want, and at this period, you'll be surprised. Some just know that they want to be closer to God. You know, at that point, they want to know God more and just enjoy life and just be better and do the little he can without any interference. I love the part where you said, because we didn't hear at the point 2 years, and we didn't hear him interfere or
Right.
say this or say that, and yes, just become an elder statesman
That's
like
right.
he is. So I think that was a wonderful tone in the right direction.
It was. Again, no apologies at this point. We're going to spend the whole of this program talking about the life and times of the late former president, Muhammadu Buhari, the landmarks that associated or characterized his leadership, and what today has now become his legacy, whether as a family man or as someone who has led this country at the very zenith of it. We're taking a quick break, everyone. So much up ahead for you, including newspaper headlines. Do stay with us.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning. And it's a newspaper review segment. And we'll be starting with the first paper of the day. And we'll start with the Daily Independent. And above the nameplate, it says, Buhari, end of an era of a man with many perspectives. While US, UAE slammed visa restrictions on Nigerians by FG. Now below the nameplate, it says cashew expansion drive. Investors eye 7.2 trillion naira inflow into economy. And we have two riders there. It says set to reposition Nigeria's world largest producer. Target production capacity of 2 million MT by 2030. Now below all of that, it says 17 years after spending 60 billion naira digital switch over, project still in limbo, and that is on page 7. And it says Akwa Ibom seals $3.5 billion gas deal with NNPC GACN, and you find that read on page 6. Dangote urges wealthy Nigerians to invest in the country. Says he defied odds to build $20 billion refinery. And if you wonder what that is all about, you have to flip to page 7 to be well abreast with what he is talking about. Now, the Sun story below the Daily Independent says Tinubu bows before Buhari's remains as he is laid to rest. Very emotional sight there. And below the foot of the Daily Independent, it says under government firm to sign MOU on establishment of oil refinery. And you find that read on page 7. And that's it on Daily Independent. Next is the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, let's turn to the Tribune for you quickly. Well, not so many headlines, but of course, as expected, the eye-catching feature here are pictures from yesterday's events. That's the burial of late former President Muhammadu Buhari. We'll begin from the very top of it. As a matter of fact, top left corner. Gunmen kill 27, destroy farms, burn several houses in Plateau community. Visa overstay, respect immigration regulations of host countries, federal government tells Nigerians. Of course, there has been a row between the US and Nigeria on the one hand, and then the United Arab Emirates and Nigeria on the other hand. But Nigerian authorities now say that talks are on with both countries to ensure that this is resolved amicably and as quickly as possible. Dangote to wealthy Nigerians, invest in Nigeria, reveals how he builds $20 billion refinery. Hopefully that piece of advice is heeded by affluent Nigerians to put their money where their mouth is. All right, then the Star headline tells us the Patriots All-Inclusive Confab begins in Abuja. Delegates set to discuss future of constitutional democracy. The second rider says plan to draft people's constitution. All the best with that. Sea of Heads as Buhari's state funeral in Daura features full military honors, no more no less. The writer says Tinubu, Shetima, Atiku, African leaders, governors, military leaders, ministers, family, others pay last respects. You read all those details on page 2 of today's issue of the Nigerian Tribune. All right, we'll flip things over now to the Nation newspaper.
All right, now the Nation newspaper above the nameplate, it says US UAE visa insurance, Fed government begins action on issues of concern. And it says here Akpabio appeals judgment on Natasha's suspension suit, and that is on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. 79 Ponzi scheme in operation, SEC warns. That's on page 27, and the writer says stock market capitalization rises to 127 trillion naira, still on page 27. And below the nameplate, on the Star story says police recover 5 million naira ransom cash, on page 27, killed in Plateau village attack, and that's on page 30. Buhari exits in blaze of glory, and the rider there is 2, and it says Tinubu, African leaders, governors, ordinary folk bid ex-president farewell. Castina Daura locked down. And then it says here, below the nameplate, inside the Nation newspaper, it reads, Guinea-Bissau President Embalo, Niger Republic Prime Minister Ali, ex-leader Bazoum at graveside. Cherished moments I never had with dad by daughter. How Zaire received news of father's death. Saudi King Salman, Crown Prince Mohammed mourn. Guterres sends condolences. And basically that is it on the Nation newspaper. Go out and grab yourself a copy and be well abreast. Next is The Guardian.
All right, so let's guide you through The Guardian with, well, big stories, quite a number of them. Again, late former President Muhammadu Buhari is beautifully featured here. First off, top left corner, Saudi Arabia, Moroccan King Mon Buhari praise service to Nigeria. Dangote fault capital flights, insist on investing in Nigeria. Leaders, friends, politicians, let's see that for you real quick. Leaders, friends, politicians unites in stately farewell to Buhari. Yes, yesterday political affiliations and partisanship didn't matter. One thing only counted, to honor the life and times of former Nigerian president. You can see those pictures, all of them coming out from Daura on account of the burial of late former President Muhammadu Buhari. What's more, lawyers bicker as Ibas inaugurates boards commissions. We thought there was a court order that stopped him from doing that. Well, you read up details for the sake of context and perspective from page 27 of the Guardian newspaper today. Senate declines Natasha's recall, insists no binding order. That headline has a picture of President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. TikTok restricts 211 million offensive videos, removes 3.6 million from Nigeria. Nigeria meets OPEC quota, first time in 5 months, falls short of 2025 benchmark. Read up those details as well on page 4. And then on the foot of the page, Fresh Plateau onslaught claims 20, injures several. You can look it all up on page 28 this morning. We pick up a copy of the Guardian newspaper. Next port of call is the Daily Trust, which has just one headline.
Of course, the Daily Trust with just one headline says how Buhari was honored and buried, and that is all on the Daily Trust. Go out and pick yourself a copy and be well abreast on the issue on that. Over now is The Punch.
All right, on the Punch newspaper, well, I won't say pretty much like the Daily Trust, but here, very conspicuously laid out picture of the late former president, Muhammadu Buhari, in his very colorful attire here. It says, final salute as a kicker. Nigeria beats Buhari, emotional farewell. Of course, we saw how tears flowed freely yesterday. Emotions raged big time in Daura. 3 riders with that headline. Tinubu Akpabio, service chiefs, governors pay final respect amid tears, tributes. Daura stands still as Katsina Airport records over 130 flights. Sounds like an all-time high record. Shimbajo, ex-governors join African leaders. Saudi King Prince mourn Buhari. Okay, what more do we have? At the very foot of the paper, bottom right, over 420 federal roads completed or in progress. That is credited to the federal government. North Central states mobilized joint security to crush bandits. Nigeria's oil output soars above OPEC quota. We understand that's the first time in 5 months. So again, that's some record achievements there. But let's look at the well, the one just adjacent, the name mast for you. Abuja's burial frees Yoruba kings from ritual slavery. That's according to Oluwo. And then at the very top of it, above the nameplates, marketers protest as Dangote moves to crash cooking gas price. Why are they protesting when indeed end users, Nigerians, are happy over this piece of news? Well, you can find answers to that question on page 2 of the Punch newspaper today. All right, let's walk you next to the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, now in the Vanguard newspaper, above the nameplate, it says, again, Nigeria misses budget 2025 crude oil output target. And if you're business inclined, you have to flip over to page 19 of the Vanguard. Now below the nameplate, it says, Tinubu, some African leaders bid Buhari farewell. And we have 7 riders there, and it reads, ignore Buhari's 8 years in power. He was a good man. And that's from Kuka, and I completely agree. And it says late president was a good man. Buhari's statesman who came, saw, conquered. That's from Sultan. I'll carry your memory with me, Buhari's daughter. And no, it says late president goes home in blaze of glory, honor, as Afe Babalola Mustafa Emami Dixon Patami pays tribute. And here it says from Galadima on page 15, it says, I have forgiven Buhari for any infractions. I think everyone should forgive and forget and move on.
Right.
And on page 9 it says, we're yet to receive formal communication from UAE on reverse visa policy. And that's from the federal government. And it says gunmen allegedly killed 20 in Plateau night raid. And that's on page 7. And we keep hearing killings of these places, especially in Plateau. And we pray this is nipped in the bud as soon as possible, please. Ex-APC National Chair Oyegun registers with ADC in Edo State, and that's on page 11. And it says here, just go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with the issues on the Vanguard newspaper. Next is the Nigerian News Direct. Over to you, Uyi.
Let's take a look at all of those for you. Thank you, Jumai. Nigerian News Director, next port of call for you this morning. And here, again, as is the case with other papers, it's basically about the late former president, Muhammadu Buhari. Says national mourning commences as former president Buhari leads to rest in Daura. The riders, first of all, the first one here says Tinubu, Guinea-Bissau president, Niger prime minister, other dignitaries storm Katsina. State honors, tight security as Osinbajo, Amaechi, others bid farewell. EU mourns ex-presidents, condoles with Nigerian government citizens. Those details are all available on page 3 of the Nigerian News Direct today. You see a picture of the president there, Bola Tinubu, flanked by, on his left side, the son of the late former president there. All right, let's move things up a notch higher now. Why wealthy Nigerians should invest in Nigeria despite corruption. That is credited to Africa's richest, or if you like, wealthiest man, Aliko Dangote. All right, so if we're taking down a little here, top bottom right, NNPC Limited, Akwa Ibom State, GACN signed $3.5 billion gas agreement. That looks humongous. London Mayor, Lagos government renew partnership to boost digital transformation. Has a picture of the mayor of London as well as the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Why I support 6 years single tenure for president, governors, or your speaker. That proposal has been on the table for quite some time now. Even former president, Dr. Goodluck Bailey Jonathan, had also made suggestions in that direction, but an act of parliament is needed to make that happen. All right, but just grab a copy of the Nigerian News Direct today to find details for these headlines. We turn now to the Standard Times newspaper.
All right, now to the Standard Times newspaper. Above the nameplate it says PIA extracted $16 billion investment, 50.8 trillion naira on crude revenue, and that's from Reps. And that news you will find on page 10 of the Standard Times. FCMB rewards 3,016 customers in millionaire promo. All right, and that's on page 9. NNPCL retail outlet, others reduce fuel price, and that's on page 2. Now below the nameplate, Buhari could have died long time if he had used Nigerian hospitals. And that's from Adesina. And as former buried, was laid to rest in Daura. You know, when I read captions like this, I'm baffled. If you'd have used Nigerian hospitals, I think leaders should do more when it comes to Nigerian hospitals, so that leaders also can go into Nigerian hospitals and get the best care that they need.
That's right.
With facilities, and if you do well with the doctors, they will not quote and unquote jackpot. So when I read captions like this, it beats my mind.
You get disturbed.
I get really disturbed, and it really beats my mind. And it's, well, no comment basically. And it says here, for growth and development, Dangote urges wealthy Nigerians to invest in Nigeria. And then here it says, Oyo lawmakers approve 55 million euro French loan for statewide healthcare overhaul. And that's on page 13. Well, step in the right direction. Let's see how well this plays out and see whether it will be sustainable or what happens underneath. Ondo government firm to sign MOU on 500 BPD oil refinery. Police arrest 2 over murder of Chinese national in Ogun, and that's on page 4. Rivers Sole Administrator ignores court order, inaugurates Civil Service Commission members. Jimmy appoints Simidayo Ojo as new CEO of Jimmy Nigeria. Adoke collected bribes to deprive Nigeria of $1.1 billion in OPL 245 oil contract revenue, and that's from HIDA. And of course, here it says Akiwumi additional Mons Obasikiru. Buhari louds the duo for invaluable contribution to Nigeria, and that's on page 15. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast on issues making rounds on the Standard Times. Next is the Daily Monitor.
All right, let's move real quick now from the very top of the paper this morning. All right, here it has a kicker that says, for growth and development, Dangote urges wealthy Nigerians to invest in Nigeria. Says he defied odds to build $20 billion refinery. Then we'll break it down a little, and then we'll take a look at about 4 headlines here. Left end of it, National Assembly assures strict legislations to address infrastructure failure. Southwest doctors threaten strike over unfavorable allowances. Visa row, federal government pledges diplomatic resolution with US, UAE. Benue, 107 Yelwata victims still hospitalized. Government official is the one to whom that is credited. However, you can read up details for yourself on page 5. And then it brings us to the big headline. Buhari was not comfortable with politics. UN deputy scribe says late ex-president gave his all in service to Nigerians, believed in the rule of law. All right. Then, of course, as is the case with other papers this morning, you see a picture of his remains there, and President Bola Tinubu saying his final bye-bye to a friend and a political ally, as well as a predecessor. Remains of Buhari buried in Daura amidst tears, prayers, and the writer says Tinubu leads dignitaries to bid ex-presidents farewell. All of that went down yesterday in Daura, Katsina State, northwest Nigeria. All right, let's look at our last paper now, and Jumai will walk us through the headlines.
All right, now on the Leadership newspaper, there's not much on it, but above the nameplate it says new Awojale to emerge after 3-month mourning, and that is on page 29 of the Leadership. I'm heartbroken, Buhari's daughter shares her grief, and that you will find on page 18. Now the star story there says rest at last, and then the writer reads Tinubu ex-Nigerian leader, Vice President Atiku, Osinbajo, Dangote, others pay final respect to Buhari in Daura. And basically that is it on the newspaper review segment. But, go out and get yourself a copy of all the newspapers we've highlighted and to be well abreast on issues making round. Note that Global Television has not added to any of these newspapers. We just read it as it is. Of course, it's still Global Morning. Let's go on a very quick break. Next, we'll be looking at what's happening and the social media with Social Buzz. And stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. It's Global Morning. All right, apologies. Social Buzz was supposed to come up, but apologies. It was just due to circumstances beyond our control. But of course, by the grace of God, tomorrow, Social Buzz will be back and better. Now, talking about the lifetime of our late President Muhammadu Buhari and individuals who poured in troops, despite so many, like what Galadima said, he has forgiven, he has decided to let bygones be bygones. That's how it should be, right? You know, and that's honor given to him at his last resting point. It shows that Nigerians are amazing individuals when it comes to empathy, when it comes to sympathy, when it comes to letting go of whatever grudge or anger people have. Like I said, it's always, you try as much as possible to create that balance, but you cannot please everyone.
That part is quite a tall order, trying to please everyone.
It is. It only shows that we are human beings.
That's
and
right.
we will definitely offend. It's very important. And at the same time, You know, at the point when he was leaving office, he did something amazing, which most individuals should learn from, asking for forgiveness. If there's anyone out there I've offended, forgive me. It wasn't due to the circumstances, but it was just due to things, unforeseen events that took place. So I think we should all do that. We shouldn't wait till when we atone power.
That's right.
Because we do not know when death comes calling. So it's very important that we try to make peace with all men. As you can see, look at the outpour of individuals from all walks of life, from different countries there in Daura to pay that last respect. It shows that late President Muhammadu Buhari wasn't perfect, but at least he was loved by many.
Well, I think that's really is the anchor. He was loved by many, right? So yesterday, I spent about an hour just around lunchtime talking with a gentleman, Malam Nasiru, about the life and times of the late former president. And one of the things he did establish is the fact that he had a cult following, sort of, that was organic, that was authentic. It was a rallying point for people in not just Northwest, but across the North and even beyond. He just had these people who believed in him so organically, so authentically. He didn't have to induce them economically, financially, or otherwise. He didn't have to do anything spectacular to draw these people, so to speak, onto himself. It was more like there was something outstanding, there was something impressive about him that they saw that drew them to him. And we saw that element play out big time, 2014 going into 2015 general election, and how that, again, made his dream of becoming president to come to fruition. And he was going to spend the next 8 years being the president because, again, he won the presidential election in 2019 and things like that. And you go back to 2003, for example, when he ran against former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who at the time as well was running to, win election for second term in office as president. Look at the number of votes he got. Fast forward 4 years down the line again, 2007, it was millions. 2011, he got what we generally call block votes again until 2015. So he just had his thing going for him. And again, on a final note, one of the things I also asked our guests yesterday in the course of the special coverage of this event was how difficult, how possible, all right, how much of work will it require to find another Muhammadu Buhari, whether in the north or somewhere in the south or anywhere across the country end to end. He said, look, we're blessed with a bunch of amazing people in this country, whether they live in Nigeria or they reside abroad. However, the challenge he did say is that there's never going to be another Major General Muhammadu Buhari retired.
Now that's something big. It shows that it's something we can hold on to, despite his imperfections. I always say he wasn't perfect.
He never claimed to be.
No, he never claimed to be, and that's why he said he wished he was younger. A lot of things must have gone through his mind. He would have made different decisions. He would have done policies differently, reforms differently, leadership differently. And that's why I always say, it's not a lot of people, some will beg to differ and tell you, Jumai, he did it perfectly, the way he could handle it. Because according to individuals, his predecessor, who was the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, left with a lot of debt, left the country with a lot of debt, which individual we're talking about. But at the same time, he tried his best, the best possible way he could. So at this point, I think we should just allow sleeping dogs lie. He has gone to meet his maker, and then judgment is for God. I believe judgment is for God alone. But at the same time, let us move past this. You know, when someone dies, it's wrong when you say bad things or false things in that light. Just allow it and just allow God have the final rest and final say. Let's just move on and just, if you're offended or angered, let it go and just move on, and just move on. But at the same time, not with the crowd we saw in Daura, he was loved. He was loved. And remember, like I said, when this whole issue happened, when he died and all of that, his body in London due to illness and all of that, I said something. I said, put aside late President Muhammad Buhari being the former president of Nigeria. I know all of that in Nigeria. But do not forget, he was a husband,
Right.
a father, a grandfather, a role model to many. So this is a big loss. So
It is.
I just pray that God will give the family the strength to bear this particular great loss.
As we say here, when people pass, this is one of such losses where you refer to it as irreparable, and it's quite a painful one. Yesterday was an emotional moment when his son hugged President Bola Tinubu, right, in the course of the burial ceremony, and it was just silence. But you know what they say, it was loud silence. That's
Yes,
a bit
it
of a
was.
paradox.
Spoke a lot of words.
Yes, but it was loud silence. The message was clear. It was a spectacular moment. They say a picture can speak 1,000 words,
yes.
right? It was what was highlighted in that brief but very incisive, long-lasting moment yesterday.
And just to add to something, you know, when we went through the papers, and then his daughter Zara said she's heartbroken, and there's a lot of things you can take from the late President Muhammadu Buhari's death.
Right.
I think individuals out there should care for their aged parents, be there. You know, we're too busy nowadays. We do not have time. We'll be in the same Nigeria. You hardly go home, check on your parents, sit down and talk. Let them give you their wealth of experience and all of that. We don't do that. So let's not cry after anything happens, but try as much as possible to have that personal relationship. It doesn't matter whether you've drifted apart. Mend fences. It's
Right.
very important, you know, because you do not know when that comes calling. It's
Right.
so make the best out of it so that you can have that sigh of, okay, relief. At least I had this better part of this individual's life. I was there at this point in time. And when the person is long gone and you're heartbroken and all that, it's okay to be heartbroken at that part because you will never see the person again.
Right.
But at the same time, try as much as possible to move on with life, forgive and forget, and have that personal relationship with your parents if they are alive. Show care, give that little. It goes a long way.
It does. Shortly, we're going to play a special report that we put together in memory of the late former president, Muhammadu Buhari. A special report that highlights some of the remarkable moments, of course, not all of them, some of the remarkable moments in his work as a soldier, a military leader, military head of state, and then ultimately democratically elected president. Just to also remind you that this whole day and for the next few days, of course, 7 days of mourning has been declared. We will spend the bulk of the time highlighting special moments from the life and times of late former President Muhammadu Buhari, and we do hope that you continue to stay with Global Television so you can be part of this auspicious occasion in the history of Nigeria, its government, and its people. We're taking a quick break now to bring you that special report. When we return, our first guest on the program today will be with us. Please stay tuned. Well, thank you so very much, everyone, for staying with us. Our special coverage of the life and times of late former President Muhammadu Buhari, who walked this earth between 1942 and 2025, continues here on Global Television. And this morning, we want to bring a couple of angles into this narrative. Of course, it got interred yesterday in Daura, Katsina State, that's his hometown, but the conversations around the impact he made, how he shaped governance and government, including politics, of course, and how he would be remembered. Of course, that includes the legacy he now leaves behind, will form the crux of our conversations going forward, at least for the next couple of days here on Global Television. This morning, I'm joined by someone, well, we can call him, he's been there, done that, the same leadership from the very grassroots, bottom up. Of course, he is not ignorant of the Buhari days as military head of state in the early 80s. And he followed through till even the very last points in the life of the former ruler. Of course, again, like we mentioned, people will bring diverse opinions and all shades of assessments into this conversation at this point, which is only natural. But we want to look at it from a holistic, dispassionate, and fact-driven standpoint. I'm joined by Honorable Rotarian Agarese Idubo. He's a politician and a public affairs commentator. We're delighted to have you on the program this morning.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
We're delighted. So let's, first of all, well, the late former president got buried yesterday. As a Nigerian who also had seen him firsthand as military head of state and then later as a democratically elected president, what are some of the, if you like, highlights or high points of his life and leadership?
Yeah, first I'd like to express very sincere condolences to his family. He has left, to my mind, a lot of things that people remember him for. And one of the things I want to talk about is his anti-corruption stance. He fought corruption to a point that it was now christened as the anti-corruption, entrepreneur. So to my mind, he did that sufficiently well, and today we hold that as a credit to him. Discipline was also his hallmark. He believed that we must fight indiscipline. And he did that as military head of state sufficiently well to a point that people now understood why they must, fall in line occasionally and do what is right. And that he did until he left as a military head of state. Corruption for him was a no-no. A no-no. But one will, like you said, there are too many sides to it. He was not corrupt, so to speak, but many of those who worked with him and for him were corrupt. And so that was our chance. People say, okay, fine. Okay, you are not corrupt, but you condone corruption. But I once said that cumulatively, one will say the man was a good man. Was a good man. One thing again, I want to hold as a great legacy he has left is his punctuality. In any public function, if you invite him to a public function, a few times I was privileged to notice a few of those things. He was prompt.
Even as a president?
Yes, he was prompt. He will come in there, and people now understood that. So those who were inviting him understood that the man they will ask you, when should I come? You tell him come by 10, he's there by 10 o'clock. Unlike some people, tell them for 10, you will be waiting for 2 hours, 3 hours, they won't come. But he was a precise person. So that to me was a very wonderful hallmark of leadership. He did well in that direction. Yeah, economically, yes, he tried his best. Nigeria was not doing well before he became president, and he tried to fight a lot of battles to stabilize the economy by various interventions, which, to my mind, yielded fruits. Although again, some will criticize that those things were not holistic in nature. He came and he brought the rice pyramid. I mean, the rice pyramid. Right. Those days, rice used to be something like but he came and he said, "Come on, let's produce what we eat. And that to me was also very instructive. Produce what you eat. Don't keep importing everything. You want to import rice, you want to import beans, you want to import toothpick. So he said, produce what you eat. And they came with this holistic thing. I said, let's produce rice. And rice was mass produced. That to me was an achievement. You know, it took a chunk of hunger out of our people. Because people were like very hungry, you know, and the man came and said, oh, there must be stomach infrastructure. And he did that. And he ensured that people were not as hungry as they were. So what we'll say of a truth, he came, he did his best. Some will say the best was not good enough. Yesterday I was listening to a friend of mine who was saying, oh, it was a slow engine. Yes. By the time he came as president, the economy was not strong enough to accommodate all those specs of office. And it's said to his people, I will not appoint ministers now. I will take some time to stabilize the economy.
That was in 2015.
Yes. He said, people say, oh, you are too slow, I appoint ministers. He said, no. The economy for now cannot accommodate all these persons. And he did that until he got to a level where he now said, okay, fine, now we can appoint ministers. Now we have some resources. Because, I mean, plus or minus, you look at, it's a heavy burden. When you have a bloated, you know, situation, you have ministries, you know, to my mind, at times they are said to be too many. And economically, to service these ministries was a humongous tax for him. So he said, but eventually he stabilized. And they appointed his ministers, but they say, oh, he was too slow. Why did he waste all the time?
Right.
Some say it was Baba go slow. But having said that, he did his best at that time. But whether his best was perfectly good, it's another matter. But for him, he tried to have a zero tolerance for corruption. That you must give to him. That you must give to him. So I give that to him.
I mean, some part of your narrative sounds like, I mean, it's reminiscent of what former President Goodluck Jonathan also said about late former President Muhammadu Buhari. He said the man led to the best of his ability. Yes. That is relative, so it depends on who is doing the assessment or evaluation. But I want to take you back to the 80s when he was head of state. There are people who still credit his number 2 man, if you like, twice then, Tunde Diagbo, as being the one who was the engine room of the government. Isn't that a situation where too much credit is unnecessarily given to Diagbo as against Buhari, who was the, if you like, forerunner of the government?
No, Buhari at that time, you know, was liberal. Was liberal. Oh, Diagbo, you're my whatever. Go ahead and do what is right.
So he trusted him with some authority?
Yes, you know, they would discuss it and say, go ahead and do it. Some persons like to stay behind the scene. You come on, you go and do this thing. And Diagbo was, you know, was spitting fire at that time. But again, if the president was not in line with, you know, they don't believe in it, it will stop him. But he was saying to come on. You know, it's like you pat your son, you know, the back, say, come on, go on, boy.
You cheer him on.
You are doing well. Go ahead. And yes, it could be the man who was masked. But now you go ahead. The man stays back. Achieve all of this for our government.
Right.
The achievements were for the government. It was the Buhari's administration. But Diagbo was like the anchor man. He was the one who was the striker. He was doing all of that, and he did quite well. Diagbo also will be remembered. You know, will be remembered for all of that because he brought discipline to the system. Those days, you see a man who is going somewhere, instead of shunting, he maintains. He stays clearly on the line. You know, those days, you just see anybody just bringing out his spear and pin anywhere. No, all those things stopped. Again, Diagbo did all of that with the backing of Mr. President.
Right.
If the president, if he didn't believe in all those things, he would say, come on. Or if he even felt threatened by Diagbo's soaring stature,
right,
he would have said, come on, my friend. You know, some persons feel threatened when they see their subordinates.
That's right.
Doing well. But he didn't feel threatened by, because people were praising Idiagmo, Idiagmo. The man didn't feel threatened because he understood that, okay, fine, he's doing our bidding. Doing our bidding. So
he's in line.
Yeah, he was doing what we have agreed to do. It was fine.
Let's talk about his life as a soldier, becoming military head of state, and then of course he got also removed from office on account of a coup that brought in General Babangida, retired now. Then of course that again saw the emergence of General Sani Abacha, again, who is also has gone to the great beyond, as we call it. Would you say these two gentlemen, these two military men, actually destroyed whatever it was that Buhari had accomplished for the country at that point?
They didn't understand the direction Buhari was going. They didn't. They also thought that their style of leadership was harsh.
Right.
So they now thought they could come in. Ironically, I was privileged to, I won't say walked, but Babangida and General Abacha, when I was the president of the Youth of Nigeria, as national president, I worked with Babangida. As national president, I worked with Abacha. So two difficult times for me as president of the Youth of Nigeria. That time, I had to reposition the National Youth Council of Nigeria to a point that I could sit down with Babangida eyeball to eyeball to say, see what we want for the Youth of Nigeria. I could sit down with Abacha eyeball to eyeball and say, see what we want for the Youth of Nigeria. Maybe I could say this to you. When Babangida was going to do the two parties, SDP and ROC, he called us and we sat with him. And we said to him, when it was the writing constitution, I mean, they wrote the constitution for the parties.
Right.
I mean, and one thing we begged him not to do was he should not put the youth wing in the constitution like they have in various constitutions now, the youth wing, women. I said, we don't want youth wing. No youth wing. The youths of Nigeria will play on the same turf with the adults. We don't want to be consigned to one part and say, okay, these are youths, let them go and be doing their own. No. We begged him that allow us to play on the same turf. Let us stay, let us come and play on the same turf with the adults. And he obliged us. So if you, the constitutions of the two parties, SDP and ROC, there was no youth wing. No youth wing. It's not the question of one leader saying, oh, you are youths, go and stay on one side, and they confine you to one side, and when they are doing meetings, and you come and say, okay, youth, no, we don't want youths here. So we did that, and he listened to us. So he was a listening president. He listened to us, but I don't want to believe that he destroyed the gains, the Buhari gains. I don't think so. But again, I've always believed that the best military government, the best, cannot be compared to a civilian administration. Cannot, because a military government just comes, it dictates to you what he wants, and then nobody challenges him. I mean, so no matter how nice a military government is, it cannot replace a democratically elected government. They could be also nice, but there are times some politicians create situations where people clamor for a military government to come. I remember one day I was driving, along a road in Benin, and some set of persons just went on one way. They drove against traffic. So my friend was seated by me. He said, "Oh, RSA, I wish this was a military government. So just go and flog all these men." Again, when the civilian administration at times, allows for indiscipline because they turn their eyes to the other side because of party affiliation, party leaning. Oh, we cannot do
political considerations.
So that we no, I mean, what is right is right. What is wrong is wrong.
Right.
And once people understand what is right, you compel them to do what is right. But most people, most times, they know what is right. And they will turn the other, and for me, it's not right. Babangida came, he did his best. Some called him Maradona, some called him all kinds of names, but again, he did his best at that time. Abacha came, also wanted to be president, but again, he did his best. Every leader, no matter how well you have performed, by the time you're anymore there will be criticisms here and there. Oh, he didn't do well, he didn't do this. When he was there, nobody would talk.
Right.
They would. One of the real issues that is the followership. See, leadership is one matter. Followership is another matter. When the followers remain docile, the leader just comes, he does whatever he or she likes, and you are clapping for him. Deep down in your heart, he's not doing well. But because you don't want to be seen to be opposing, I mean, there could be a positive opposition.
Right.
You oppose for the benefit of the larger majority of persons. You don't just follow because, okay, if I oppose him, the things he used to give to me, he will no more give to me. No, that's not right. So when the leader is not doing well, the followers too should not sheepishly follow. Don't just follow because he's the leader. No. You must be able to decipher. Oh, Mr. President, this policy, yes, please, we think it can be done this way. Nobody likes to be challenged and say this is wrong. But if you say to him, Mr. President, I think we can look at it from this angle, and maybe it could yield a better result for the people to understand. But having said that, when you say a leader is corrupt, I think it's the followers that are corrupt, because you see the corruption and you condone it and you accommodate it. So it's your business. It's the leader may not understand that it's corrupt. You are the one saying that it's corrupt. I say, no, I'm not corrupt.
But how do we juxtapose that with a situation where we are told that politicians have a unique way of weaponizing poverty, and then the people ultimately become powerless?
Politicians, Nigeria has a population, we don't even know how many we are now, but let's say 200 million.
Tens of millions.
Let's say 200 million.
Right.
Politicians are less than 1 million.
Right.
Politicians in this country are less than 1 million. If the 99% or the 199 million people, okay, let me come this way. Politicians are less than 1% of our population, less than 1%. The 99% say no. It cannot weaponize. No, it cannot. But because we just fall in line. The man comes and you refuse to take handouts. No, you just refuse. The man brings all the things and says to you, and you know he's going to demonize you. You just say sorry. We don't want. But because it's good to be hungry for a while. It's good, and face. I have a friend who says, "Let's keep a dignified distance." You don't say because you are hungry, and for a pot of porridge you sell your birthright. No. You don't collect. You don't. Even you cannot weaponize. You can't collect small money today and mortgage your conscience for the rest of your life.
Right.
Politics most times is a 4-year, whatever, and you collect money during elections. No matter how much they give to you during election, even if it gives you 10 million per person, what's 10 million? I mean, what's 10 million for the rest of for the rest of the 4 years? The man will stay there. 10 million put together is nothing.
Meanwhile, your conscience and values have been compromised.
Sure, you've compromised a lot of things, and you are going to punish generations yet unborn. If we have an election, RRSA and Uyi contesting, we look at the two persons. RRSA, yes. Let's look at his antecedents. Uyi, yes. Let's look at his antecedents. What if we go this way? What do we stand to benefit? If we go this way, and people, look, I'm a politician.
Right.
Politicians believe that they buy consciences, and once they buy your conscience, and for the rest of their tenure, they can jettison you, they throw you away.
You've been settled.
They don't care about you anymore. So why must you allow yourself to be so cheap? The man says he pays. I've listened to governors who have said, look, I bought the position. I paid for it.
Starting from within the party.
Sure. I paid for it. I look forward to a situation whereby those days when we were very young, party members subscribed to parties. You pay dues as a party member. You know, I mean, there are monthly dues, there are annual dues. Every party member pays to the party. So we fund the parties.
Has that changed recently?
No, there is no more funding. You know, every member now believes that the party must give them money.
And that money has to come from somewhere.
From somewhere, I mean. And, you know, so it's the deep pocket person that comes, brings all the money. And if he brings all the money, he might well plays the piper. He tells the tunes. You dance to his tune. I mean, if you don't dance, he looks for a way to cut you off.
I want us to go back to the issue of Buhari. I mean, going into the election, 2014, 2015, the one that made him president, you could see the APC, which at that time had become an amalgamation of many parties, trying to do some sort of public relations thing for him. People who believed in him, who were not even necessarily politicians or members of the party, doing the same thing. 10 years after that, 2025, the man has passed, and people are still trying to make a section of Nigerians understand that this is who Buhari was, not this other person you thought he was. To what extent was he misunderstood, and why?
No, like I said, after every person's administration, whether you are living or you are dead, there must be divergent views about how you governed.
Right.
How you governed. Buhari in his time, like I said, I mean, he was straight. I met him one day at the airport, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. It was so ordinary.
Was he the president then?
It was not the president in 2014. I mean, but you know, it was big enough at that time to do some of this.
The typical Nigerian thing.
Yes. It was so ordinary, and it was, you know, it was walking to the tarmac, like, you know, very ordinary, and that's you know, impressed me. So when he was going to contest election in 2015, I told a few of my friends that this is the kind of person we think we need. He didn't have the kind of money needed to prosecute the election.
Right.
But a lot of people that believed in him or believed in the party at that time brought the kind of money they needed to run or prosecute the election. The man until he left as president, I think he remained himself. His beliefs were still intact. He still kept his beliefs, and those things that people now talk about him. A friend of mine was saying yesterday that the man was corrupt. I said, I don't think it's true. They said, okay, if he wasn't, why didn't he prosecute those persons who were corrupt in his government?
Or even the government before his, right?
Yes. Why didn't he prosecute them? I mean, if he didn't condone corruption. Some persons have always believed in a marathon. In a marathon, when you are running a marathon, you try to look at it, and when you are getting towards the end of the race, you increase your speed. But again, for him, it was too late to increase his speed. He remained.
Was it because of age?
Yeah, you know. I mean, at 82, it was not too old.
At 82?
At 82, I mean, even he died at 82. I mean, so he must have been 78, 77.
Yeah, the twilight of his second tenure.
Yes, you know, so for me, it was not too old. Even though persons think that we need younger persons as... because, you know, the task of governance is a very huge task.
Right.
Because, you know, I was advisor to a governor. I could imagine the governor will not sleep until 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Some persons are coming to see the governor at 1 a.m. So at times I will ask the governor, this person is coming to see you at 1 a.m. Don't they think you should sleep?
Or where were they the whole time?
They have slept. They woke up, and you have not slept. So you need a person who has enough energy,
right,
to run an administration, because definitely people don't understand that you need to sleep. They think that because you are governor or because you are president. I can imagine, you know, a small local government chairman say he's very busy. How about the governor? How about the president?
Right.
The local government chairman say, oh, the job is a terrible, hard job. Fine. One local government, small local government, then state governor. Oh, how about the president? So you need a man who has enough energy to do so. Maybe Buhari didn't have that kind of energy. I mean, most of the time he was not feeling too well. Was not feeling too well. He had to go for medicals. But again, to my mind, he did his best. And it's relative to say whether his best was good enough. But he did his best. He positioned Nigeria, to my mind, on the path of progress. Part of progress.
We're just going to take a break quickly, but there are people who believe that for whatever it's worth, the man did a lot of work by trying to, if you like, ward off the external influences coming from institutions like the World Bank, the IMF, trying to, if you like again, insulate the economy, Nigerian economy, from those influences, which many governments have been very, very exposed to, and those influences, many analysts believe, brought us to where we are today as an economic entity. Let's look at him from that perspective, plus what he also did in the area of foreign policy, for example.
Most of the things we talk about now, foreign policy, the drivers of our economy, the drivers of our policies, the ambassador at that time, you look at a governor, look at the president. The president does not need to be everything. What the president needs is to engage persons who can drive a process.
Right.
At the time, he needed to get some persons, but it was difficult for him to get the kind of persons who, like the WTO woman, for instance, very dear Okonjo-Iweala, great brain, great mind. We had persons who ordinarily, let me say this to you, you are a leader now. You don't know everything.
Right.
You don't know everything. So you need around you persons who you engage them to be able to give a direction. But some of those he engaged at that time didn't understand some of these things to mean that posterity will judge. And when you do anything, when you engage some persons who, to my mind, are not fit for a process, he had quite a lot of persons. I listened to a lot of his professor friends who were in his think tank, but they were not ministers. They were not ministers, but they were in his private think tank.
Right.
They were there thinking for him, and he understood what they were thinking and what they were presenting to him. But again, he also had people on ground who were running the ministries, who were running policies. Some of them did not understand the policy implications of what they were putting together. But having said all of this, all put together, the foreign policies at that time didn't take us too far. Didn't take us too far because most people, like Britain, understood him and they supported us enough. America also did. America, on few occasions, did some things that supported government. During the COVID-19 thing, for instance, we got a lot of support from these countries, and they credited him with a man who fought COVID decisively. It is not the devastation was not a thing that one would have said, "Oh, we suffered from." COVID was, contained because the man understood how it set people on various, angles to go and, the time had to fight COVID, and he fought COVID to an extent that the effect was not devastating. In some countries it was devastating, but in Nigeria it was not as bad as it was in some other countries. So that to me again was a positive direction, which was applauded by very many people. So for me, the guy, like I said, the guy has come, he has done his own, whether his policies were right or wrong, whether they yielded fruits or they didn't yield anything, he's come and gone. So I've always believed that if anybody comes on stream or stage, don't lament over what has gone wrong.
Right.
Those of us who are Rotarians, we say, when something is wrong, let us straighten it out.
So you don't cry about spilled milk?
No, you don't lament. Lamentation is very unholy. When something is wrong, don't lament, don't quarrel about what was not done well. Face the matter as it is now. You don't, when you are moving forward, that's why the eyes are in front. They could have been at the back. Just keep your gaze. Just keep moving. Don't be looking, behind you, and looking behind you will slow your speed. So just be focused. What has gone wrong? Yes, correct it. Don't belabor your head. Oh, this thing was badly done and all that, and you start to fight from all fronts. Yes, what was done wrong is fine, but if you can try to correct them, you can try to ask questions. Right. Yes, but then it should not be your focus. That you just move on, chart a course that can now correct those things that were wrong. So at the end of the day, it was okay, fine. The man came in, so and conquered.
All right, we're just going to take a break quickly, everyone. When we return, we're going to just pivot a little to other aspects of this conversation as they have to do with the late former president, Muhammadu Buhari. We'll talk to you again after this break. Let's get talking quickly for the next few minutes, everyone. While late former President Muhammadu Buhari was here, it was a rallying point for, in particular, the CPC. We know what the CPC had done in 2007, 2011, and then, of course, as part of the amalgamation too, that made the former president give him access to Aso Rock as we know it. Today is no more. For example, people have said it's going to be a case of when the shepherd dies, the sheep scatter. That's number one. Number two, it's also a pivotal moment. There's the talk about coalition now, and they are the quote-unquote Buhari boys from the CPC who would have also, as the case has always been, made him their rallying points in this regard, but now he's no more. Talk to our viewers about the implication of that.
On CPC.
Of course, we understand that the bloc of CPC moving into the coalition now. And if the former president had been alive...
is there still CPC?
Well, there is no CPC as we know it, but there is still that bond of the CPC element that's still there, for example. And they say President Muhammadu Buhari, blessed memory, was the rallying point for the CPC. And those people who were loyal to him from the CPC days are the ones essentially going into the coalition.
Those ones who were loyal to him, moved on to APC. So if they are leaving APC now, so they're not leaving CPC, they're leaving APC. It's normal when you have the coalition now is talking about ADC as the platform.
Right.
When you want, in any situation, you want to form a new party, it's the same people you are going to bring from everywhere.
Nothing changes.
No, they are not new creations. I mean, they are not angels from heaven. You are bringing the same people. They are taking them from here to. Some persons are not happy with the system, they want to leave. It's not as if when you create a new party, you are going to have new individuals. No, they are the same people. So for me, those who were in CPC that came to form the coalition that became APC, yes, if they were still keeping themselves together, then they were not loyal to APC. Because by the time you form a coalition, other things are supposed to have died.
So every other thing collapses.
Yes, so you don't talk about them anymore. Okay, this is the CPC arm of APC. I mean,
so is that not the political reality in Nigeria?
So it's not a CPC, and I'm not sure. Maybe, because the APC was not, CPC, AD, whatever. Fine. So are you now saying what APC is now is the AD faction? No. So some persons are still there from CPC, but some persons are not happy with the system, and they want to say, okay, fine, we're not happy with this system. What I see with the coalition, is the coming together of strong opposition leaders,
right?
And one cannot wish them away. I hear people say, "Oh, these people they're
joking.
They are just a bunch of." I said, "No, that's not right. That's not right. You can't just wish away these persons. Atiku Abubakar, for instance, you can't just wish him away. You can't wish away Peter Obi. You can't. You can't. Nasir El-Rufai, you can't. You can't. I mean, look, Amechi. These are not persons you can just say, oh, they are a bunch of, some of them, at times they want to chronicle them as, okay, let's profile these guys. But I say to people that care to listen, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the first Nigerian president who is a politician.
What are those elements that stand him out?
He was governor. And among those who were governors with him in 1999, he remained the only active person in politics among those who were with him, who were his colleagues. There's no that person. Bola Ahmed Tinubu remained active from 1999 till he became president. So for me, he was a politician. He is a politician, true and true. And what he's going through now, I'm not in the APC, for instance.
Apparently.
But from the things he's doing now, those who are in the APC say he's doing well. Looking at the development index, one will say, okay, fine. Some things, I hear they say the economy was very bad when they came, so when the Buhari government left a very bad economy, which he inherited, and is struggling with the economy. And people are not feeling very comfortable with the way things are going now. Because a friend of mine, was going to travel and was going to buy foreign exchange. And $1 was 1,900 naira.
That must be apparently from the parallel market.
Of course, yes. Which other would you get the money from? From the banks? You won't get money from the banks. No, you won't. I mean, so for that again is totally unacceptable. Unacceptable. I mean, why will a dollar, be as valued as that? The naira has been debased. So something the economy is not right. So I think one area that the government should look at is the economy. And people, so to speak, are like, oh, we are all suffering, and it's just true. It's just true. The level of suffering now is, to my mind, high. And that explains why some people think, okay, let's have a coalition to retrieve power. But in retrieving power, you just must tell yourself that you are ready to retrieve power. It's not just coming together, because there are a lot of interests.
Right.
I mean, look at the giants who are on the coalition network. These are all giants in their own rights, and they have interests. And those interests, again, so each of them must be willing to subordinate to the other. Once you don't want to subordinate your interest to another person's interest, then of course there will be no. So the coalition will have a serious challenge, because unless they agree to subordinate, individual interest to the group interest, because there must be a group interest,
right?
And that's what the APC is saying, that this book cannot stand because there are persons who have individual interests. They all have individual interests. Everybody wants to be president. So if it gets to the point of now saying let us, who now becomes our flag bearer,
right?
Then they will scatter. Then they will scatter. So the APC is waiting for that to happen. But again, the coalition must be serious enough. I like opposition. I don't like it when there's no opposition. I like opposition that has direction.
Right.
Not just opposing for the purpose of not just to oppose because you want to oppose.
It should be constructive.
Constructive. You must oppose because you think you have an idea. You go, look, I don't like this policy. It's not right. It could be done like this. Then you are guiding the person who you are opposing. You don't just oppose because you want to oppose. Oh, I don't like His Excellency. I want to oppose him stupidly. So you must oppose constructively. And I'm sure the president will listen to such oppositions. When you oppose him with some, okay, fine. If you oppose me, prefer solution.
Right. Let's wrap this up in 1 minute. Now, the former president, late Muhammadu Buhari, is gone, but they say his legacy will live on. What are some things you would, on this show this morning, say political leaders, especially at the federal level, being the president, for instance, can learn from him and bring to bear in their style of governance?
Our greatest challenge has been corruption. Greatest. Corruption at various levels, all strata of the economy, corruption. One legacy that President Buhari has left is his anti-corruption stance. The thing we need to fight in this country is corruption. If that is fought effectively, everything will be fine. Corruption at various levels. For me, everything that we do in this country, if we can kill corruption, things will go on smoothly. When you hear, somebody is stealing as much as money for 5 generations, or his children's children. Once we kill corruption, so he himself, one legacy I think he has left, which I think must resonate, is his anti-corruption stance, which every political party or politician should look at, because there's so much for us in this country, but because of the greed of a few of us, these things are not there. If we kill our greed, if you kill, Christians say kill your flesh. If we kill the greed, there's enough for everybody. But because of our greedy nature, then we say it's not. Everything that has to be done to take Nigeria to an El Dorado is to fight and kill corruption.
And former President Muhammadu Buhari, blessed memory, has taught us how important that should be for every government.
Yes.
I think at this point, we're going to leave this conversation here. But again, like we mentioned at the top of the show today, it's an ongoing discussion. We're going to have this run for the next couple of days as part of the morning period. You understand, 2 days ago, President Bola Tinubu had ordered that flags will now have to fly at half-mast. And the Federal Executive Council meeting that had earlier been scheduled for yesterday got moved to Friday. Of course, the president led dignitaries from across the world to Daura yesterday to pay their last respects to former late President Muhammadu Buhari. I'd like to thank especially my guest this morning, who has been shedding light on some of these issues. The last 45 minutes talking about Honorable Rotarian Agarese Idubo, politician and public affairs commentator. We do not take for granted your valuable insights.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. We're taking a quick break at this point, everyone. When we return, again, we'll stretch further the life and times of former late President Muhammadu Buhari, how he came, saw, and conquered the best way many persons will say he could. Stay with us.
Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari died in London after a long illness. He served as president from 2015 to 2023, and earlier as a military head of state from 1983 to 1985. In an interview, Nigerians reacted to the passing of the immediate past president Muhammadu Buhari, saying the entire country has been thrown into a state of mourning, adding that being a two-time president is one of Buhari's greatest legacies.
Seriously, when I heard the news, I was so sad. I'm not really happy. He's our leader, he's our former president, he's our military head of state. That time, there's a policy that he brought that we all enjoy, and there's some policy he brought that we all sad.
It's a very sad one for all of us Nigerians. You know, many people may have their own side of the story about Muhammadu Buhari, but for me, he's a very good man.
They also described Buhari as a very good man who will be missed, while highlighting the End Power scheme as one of his major achievements.
We know him with his disciplinary record, who against indiscipline that he introduced to Nigeria, which reshaped the minds of Nigerians.
I really want to say I'm sorry for the great loss to the Buhari's family, because nobody is perfect. In every government, there's always the good and the bad.
Death is actually so inevitable, and he is quite old. He has done his bit, he has tried his best for Nigeria, and I just send my deepest condolences to the family and to Nigerians. I pray that his soul rests in peace.
As Nigerians reflect on the life and leadership of Muhammadu Buhari, many agree that his legacy, whether praised or criticized, has left a lasting mark on the nation's history. Ubong Osoro for Global TV.
All right, is the second leg of our conversations this morning on the program, Life and Times of late former President Muhammadu Buhari, what he achieved, what his leadership meant for Nigeria, how he shaped the, political and governance landscape in this country, and the legacy he now leaves behind as Nigeria continues to reflect on the interactions across board on many levels that he had with him. To help us find some sense, perspectives, and insights in this regard, I'm joined by Rashid Oniyongi. He's a dynamic public affairs commentator, accomplished broadcast journalist, engineer who brings clarity and depth to today's salient discourse. So he's joining us here also as a public affairs commentator. Rashid, I'd like to say, first of all, we're grateful that you found the time, even in the face of your busy schedule, to be here this morning.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad to be here.
All right, great. The late former President Muhammadu Buhari, by some person's reckoning, was not a regular conventional politician. What exactly are the elements they